Don't you want to remove the fear of disease from your life and feel secure that you can fully enjoy your later years?
A few simple changes in your lifestyle can change your health destiny.
The theme of this program is that disease is unnatural. Health is the natural state, which can only be realized with superior nutrition.
New York Times best-selling author Dr. Joel Fuhrman is a board-certified family physician who specializes in preventing and reversing disease through nutritional and natural methods.
What I'm telling you here is that your immune system is the mastermind behind your body's ability to resist disease.
Please join us for Dr. Fuhrman's Immunity Solution.
Hi, I'm Dr. Fuhrman. I welcome you to Dr. Fuhrman's Immunity Solution. Do you or someone you know have cancer? A relative or a friend, maybe? Do you know someone suffering from headaches, allergies, or an autoimmune disease like arthritis? If your answer is yes, this is no coincidence. Our country is in a severe health crisis that's tragic. Even more tragic because most people don't know these illnesses don't have to be. This show gives a solution to the explosion of illnesses across America. And my goal is to inform you about the new, most recent advances in modern nutritional science that can solve many of our nation's most serious health problems. Problems like autoimmune disease, life-threatening infections, and even cancer. Now I know, if there was a way you ladies could protect yourself against breast cancer, you would, right? If I told you to drink a cup of green tea every day, and that would give you 90% protection, wouldn't you do it? Yes. Of course you would. It's not as simple as just a cup of green tea, but it is pretty simple, and I'm going to give you the solution right here in this show. And I know you men out there knew there was a magic bean you could eat, and you would never have to worry about prostate or colon cancer. You'd certainly eat some of those beans, right? Yeah. If what I'm claiming is true, and you really could protect yourself against cancer, against heart attacks, and against dementia in later life, what would that protection be worth to you? Millions, right? Yes. Not even. It's priceless. Something money can't buy. Well, in this show, I'm going to give you this life-saving information, and I'm claiming we can win the war on cancer in America with some simple steps, and I'm going to explain why I think this is so. This is a serious show, because I'm talking about some serious problems. But it's very important you pay close attention and learn what I'm going to teach you today. You may even want to take notes. The information may prevent you from years of suffering and pain. It could even save your life. Having a powerful, fully functioning immune system can protect you from breast cancer, from prostate cancer, from colon cancer, and from pancreatic cancer. Excluding lung cancer caused by smoking, those are the 4 most common cancers in America. And that's right. I'm making a radical claim. Here it is. We can win the war on cancer, and we can win it right now. Exactly what I mean by win the war on cancer? I mean that we can prevent 90% or more of cancer deaths. And the science supporting this is strong. It's logical. And we can't wait any longer to put it into action, because not acting is killing people. And not acting could even kill you. Before we review this evidence, I want to state that all the statements here are supported by scientific evidence. And my conclusions are not just the result of one study on any issue, but on many studies. People will try, but this information is impossible to deny. Look, that's fine if you are an informed adult and you want to smoke cigarettes and eat like other Americans eat. That's your right. But I think everyone also has the right to at least know they have a choice, to know that they did not have to get demented with aging, to know that they did not have to have that bypass surgery, they did not have to have that heart attack, and they did not have to get that cancer. Do what you want, but at least do so with your eyes fully opened, armed with the right information, so you can choose to take control of your health destiny. This concept that we don't have to get cancer only seems outrageous because we've been misinformed that these diseases are inevitable or genetic, or that we have to be dependent on medical treatments like chemotherapy and invasive surgery. We've been brainwashed to accept that disease is to be expected and that medicines and medical treatments will save us. These most common cancers are a new development in human history. They've exploded to these high levels only in the last 50 to 75 years. We can also look at the dietary changes that have occurred in those countries where cancers used to be very low and it became high. The scientific studies are now demonstrating that a normal functioning immune system is dependent on certain foods. And when you eat those foods regularly, you protect yourself from cancer even developing. Vegetable consumption plummeted over the last 100 years in America. And refined or processed foods and sugars increased dramatically as our body weights increased dramatically too. The standard diet most Americans are eating today is simply deadly. Take a look at this graph that shows the increasing incidence of cancer since 1940. Sadly, the upward climb in cancer rates is continuing worldwide as those countries now eat like us, and refined foods and fast foods have become available all over the world. But this show is not only about preventing cancer. This is about preventing and reversing autoimmune diseases that have also exploded in recent years. This explosion of autoimmune disease has matched the increased cancer incidence from the 1940s to the 1990s. Let me give you an example of some common autoimmune diseases: psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, type 1 diabetes, Graves' disease, multiple sclerosis, and about 100 more autoimmune illnesses and related immune system disorders, such as asthma, allergies, and fibromyalgia. Of course, when we eat a diet style that weakens immune system function, we allow cancer, and we create an epidemic of autoimmune diseases from immune system malfunction. Look at the skyrocketing increase in lupus in the last 50 years. Autoimmune illness, where our own immune system attacks us, is now the third leading class of illness in America after hardening of the arteries, or atherosclerosis, and cancer. And autoimmune disease has the same nutritional causes as cancer. These diseases are not predominantly genetic. Environmental and nutritional factors simply overwhelm genetics. How could autoimmune disease and the most common cancers be mostly genetic if they were both relatively rare in past generations and in other parts of the world? How could they be mostly genetic if there's so little of these diseases in Asia? Yet when the Asian population moves to America and eats our diet style, the same cancers double or triple in one generation. Colorectal cancer risk in Chinese immigrants increases with the number of years they live in North America. This exposure to a richer diet with more meat, more oil, more sugar, more refined foods triggers both heart disease and cancer. An Asian woman born in the US will have more than a 60% higher rate of getting breast cancer compared to a woman born in Asia. And this incidence of breast cancer was more than 10 times the incidence of breast cancer in Asia 50 years ago. Let's look at some of this data in more detail. First, let's look at the death rate from breast cancer in various countries in the 1960s. Note how in 1967, Japan, China, Dominican Republic, and even Mexico had only about 1/10 of breast cancer deaths compared to the US and Northern Europe. Now let's go from 1967 and look at breast cancer incidence in Korea in 1988. Wow, still only 1/10 the rate we see in America at that time. Fascinating. Now let's go from 1988 to 2008, just 20 years later, and breast cancer incidence quadrupled in Korea over that time frame. What do you think happened to the Korean diet just a few years before this radical explosion in breast cancer? Well, let's take a look. Well, do you see how their diet changed? Wow, animal products and sugar consumption more than doubled, and the consumption of oils are now 8 times as high as they were in 1978. What do animal products, oils, and refined foods like sweeteners have in common to promote cancer? Well, they're all foods that do not contain anti-cancer antioxidants and phytochemicals, and they're foods that raise cancer-promoting hormones. What happened was the diet was becoming more Americanized, like in other parts of the world. And as the diet becomes more like ours, cancer rates become more like ours too. Let's take a look at the American diet, because it's perfectly designed to cause cancer and heart disease. It's not only sad, it is sad, it's SAD, the standard American diet, SAD. It's very sad, because it's deadly. So take a look at this pie chart of what Americans are eating. That's about 26% of calories from animal products, and over 60% of calories from refined foods, such as oil, white bread, sweets, candy, fast food, chips, and soda. Not only do refined and processed foods not contain those antioxidants and phytochemicals that fight cancer, but they're high glycemic foods that raise sugar in the bloodstream, spiking your insulin levels. And insulin is a hormone that is cancer-promoting in excess. More flour, white rice, sugar means more insulin and more cancer. And as the animal products increased from small amounts in the diet to larger amounts, cancer rates have been shown to increase as well. This is not a questionable finding. Animal products are similar to refined processed foods in that they also do not contain antioxidants and phytochemicals. And the more of them you eat, the more fruits and vegetables you don't eat. But there's something more. One important mechanism we have discovered in recent years is that as animal products increase over 5 to 10% of total calories, we see the cancer-promoting hormone, IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, increase dramatically. And IGF-1 is another powerful cancer-promoting hormone. It's well established in the scientific literature that higher intake of animal protein raises IGF-1. And increased levels of IGF-1 promote premature aging and cancer. What I'm saying here is that white rice and white bread is like a piece of chicken, because they both promote cancer as the amount of processed foods get too high and as the amount of animal products get too high. So why is a piece of chicken like a slice of white bread? That's right. One, because neither one contains any significant amount of anti-cancer nutrients called antioxidants and phytochemicals. And two, because both promote hormones that increase the risk of cancer. Certainly there's a threshold effect, meaning a small amount of animal products or a small amount of refined grains, such as white rice, won't likely promote cancer. When you pass over that threshold, we start to see a stronger and stronger negative effect as these foods rise in the diet. Of course, that threshold can be moved up or down based on your needs. A lower threshold is in order if you have a serious illness you're trying to reverse. And lots of Americans are suffering with serious immune system disorders. Over 25 million Americans suffer from immune system disorders, and the number is continuing to rise. Not only can all this human suffering be prevented, but what if you already have one of those troubling illnesses? Should you take drugs to control the symptoms the rest of your life? Drugs that are known to cause serious side effects and increased risk of cancer? That's right. I'm saying you can get better, even recover, without drugs. Autoimmune disease is one of the top causes of death in women younger than 65. Lupus incidence tripled in the United States between the 1950s and the 1990s. And death from lupus increased 60% in the 20-year period from 1980 to 2000. Multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis had similar increases in incidence. Is this genetic? Obviously not. Yet as the amount of human suffering and deaths has been climbing, the medical profession has largely ignored looking at dietary causation. This just doesn't have to be. You know, I can say this because of studies done in the medical literature that has documented the results with nutritional methods. And I can say this because both cancer and autoimmune illness are virtually unknown in areas of the world where they eat enough immune-supporting foods. And I can say this because of my 20-year history with people utilizing my nutritional approach, watching thousands reverse their chronic medical conditions that they were told were irreversible and had nothing to do with food. Like Karen Schroeder from Ocean Grove, New Jersey. In 2005, Karen's joints became very stiff and fatigued, and she developed severe pain in her feet, ankles, hips, wrists, and elbows. She was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and that began the onslaught of medications. She was told she had to take these medications for the rest of her life, and there were no alternatives. And over the next 6 years, Karen took prednisone, Plaquenil, alsulfidine, and methotrexate. By 2010, she had worsening side effects. Her white blood cell counts had dropped too low, and she had frequent infections. Her liver enzymes were elevated, and she had gastric and esophageal burning and nausea. She finally had to tell her doctors she'd rather live in pain than suffer with so many medication side effects and higher risk of cancer from medication. Then, in January 2011, while searching the internet, Karen read about people who'd recovered from rheumatoid arthritis using my immunity solution, and she felt hopeful for the first time in 6 years. She weaned off all of her medication and followed the plan to the letter. And here's Karen's statement. I loved the food, and my pain went away, and within 6 months I lost 32 pounds. I'm able to exercise again, and recently resumed race walking. For a 58-year-old woman, I feel like I did when I was 38. In addition to no longer having rheumatoid arthritis anymore, my rosacea cleared up on her face. My gums no longer bleed. I no longer suffer from constipation. I love the way I feel. I feel like this is a miracle, but it isn't. It's an evidence-based solution to our health problems and a delicious way to eat. Now, you may not have rheumatoid arthritis like Karen, and certainly not every person is able to achieve a complete remission, but now that you can see the healing potential that most medical doctors completely neglect, you can start to get impressed about the ability of a well-nourished human immune system to protect itself against disease and even reverse disease. See, when you eat the right foods and don't eat the wrong foods, you get well. I told you it was simple, didn't I? Yes. Nevertheless, these are not isolated instances. These benefits are regularly observed. Let me show you another person who recovered from a serious autoimmune illness. Jody O'Neill from Cary, North Carolina. Jody first came to me over 10 years ago, suffering from psoriatic arthritis, lupus, and an autoimmune disease called Sjogren's syndrome. She started experiencing joint pains and skin rashes as a teenager. She was on serious medication and steroids for over 20 years, and she still had psoriasis over her entire body, itching, poor mobility and joint pains, not adequately relieved by her medications. She had lesions in her scalp, on her eyelids, inside her ears, and the skin was peeling off her hands and feet. She was a mess. She began my protocol in 2001, and after 30 days, the itchiness subsided, and within 6 months, the entire body was free of psoriatic lesions. Without any effort, she lost 32 pounds, and she's kept that 32 pounds off the last 10 years. But her ovarian cyst disappeared. She no longer has osteoporosis. She no longer has chronic sinus infections and congestion and nasal drip. And now at age 62, Jody regained her lost youth and can vigorously exercise and participate in all that a healthy, active lifestyle has to offer. I know that you want that for your life too, right? Yes. Don't you want to remove the fear of disease from your life and feel secure that you can fully enjoy your later years? Yes. Yes. The problem is that the standard American diet is killing us. It's causing heart disease and cancer. It's causing autoimmune disease and dementia. And it's causing you to be overweight and obese. If you eat like other Americans eat, you're going to get what other Americans get. And that's poor health as you age, and maybe a serious disease that sabotages your happiness and puts a dark cloud over your life. When you follow my immunity solution, you disease-proof your body, and also any excess fat you're carrying around, your frame just falls off you like it's melting. This is the health care our nation needs. We need to be able to live our life fully without medical dependency and fear. I know you want that for your life, and I can promise you that if you learn this program and the delicious solution I created, you'll have a more happy and pleasurable life. So when we come back here after a brief break, I'm going to discuss the scientific basis of the immunity solution. So thank you, and I'll be back in a few minutes.
We're back with Dr. Fuhrman's Immunity Solution.
Welcome back to the Immunity Solution. This show is an introduction to the latest nutritional science that can enable your immune system to function at full potential. The Immunity Solution can reduce your risk of infection, and if you do get sick, it can enable you to bounce back quickly and prevent any damage to your body. The Immunity Solution can enable you to recover from chronic illnesses, even those your doctors may have told you are irreversible. It will drop your blood pressure and cholesterol, so you no longer need medications, and can take away your pain from headaches, arthritis, esophagitis, and gastritis, no matter what your age is. It can enable you to earn a high-quality, disease-free life your entire life. In order to activate this miraculous self-healing, self-repairing powers of your immune system, you need to eat a diet style that offers you comprehensive micronutrient adequacy. Micronutrients are those nutrients needed by the body that do not contain calories. We're not consuming them for energy, like fat, carbohydrate, and protein. Those are macronutrients. We are consuming micronutrients because our body requires these immune system activators. CMA, comprehensive micronutrient adequacy. CMA, the intake of an adequate amount of all micronutrients that are helpful to the human body, assuring no deficiencies. There are literally thousands of important phytochemicals concentrated in colorful natural foods. We need to get them from the real food that contain them, because some of the synthetic forms of micronutrients found in supplements can actually promote cancer. For example, take folic acid. We've observed in multiple modern studies that folic acid supplementation could increase the risk of certain cancers, especially breast cancer. We need the real folate found in green vegetables, not the fake folic acid found in supplements. So phytochemicals are not optional. They're essential. It's not important for you to know the names of all these phytochemicals because there are thousands of them. But these compounds in green, brown, orange, red, black, blue foods, the full rainbow of natural plant foods, they work like a perfectly synchronized orchestra to enable protection against disease, protect against dementia, and even slow the aging process. We discovered some fascinating science about viral infections in recent years as well. We found out that when you don't get enough phytochemicals, a simple virus can mutate and become more dangerous, more virulent. When a person is hospitalized with a dangerous infection of their heart called a viral cardiomyopathy, or a serious infection causing paralysis of their nervous system called Guillain-Barré syndrome, we used to think, oh, how terribly unlucky this person must have caught this very rare virus that attacked the heart or the nerves. But now we know it's a relatively common virus. It's just a Coxsackie virus that can mutate to become dangerous when nutritional deficiencies are present. In the environment of CMA, comprehensive micronutrient adequacy, there would be no such attack on the heart. And the ordinary virus would have remained ordinary, unable to mutate, to evade immune capture, and to become dangerous to the heart or the rest of the body. When your immune system is running on all cylinders, you're not going to be at such risk for recurrent sinus infections, ear infections, bronchial infections, and skin infections, and your digestion, headaches, allergies, and asthma will improve too. You know, we have a real healthcare crisis in America, and it's not going to be solved by politicians in Washington. We need a population that's highly educated about nutrition, a population that's fully informed, that knows how to protect themselves from diseases. We need a healthy population that requires little medical care. Please remember, I'm not saying that doctors and hospitals don't ever serve a valid function. I'm a medical doctor myself. It's just we've come to rely on medicines and medical procedures instead of taking responsibility for our own health and following simple and powerful methods such as my immunity solution. Remember, the problem from our consumption of refined foods, such as white flour products, oils, and white sugar, are not that they're just fattening. They cause immune system malfunction. They cause damage, and that means chronic disease and cancer. And not only do animal products and refined foods not contain cancer-protective antioxidants and cancer-protective phytochemicals, but they're also the foods that promote the cancer-causing hormones in the body to rise. And these refined foods and animal products have increased as a percentage of calories in all areas of the world. And correspondingly, we see cancer and heart attack death rates increase in direct proportion. Take a look at this slide, where I plotted the amount of natural plant food, like fruits and vegetables, beans, seeds, and nuts, against the deaths from heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. The data demonstrates an interesting pattern. Where natural produce was low, heart disease and cancer rates are extremely high. Where produce consumption was very high, cancer and heart attack diseases were very, very low. And this is considering the same age group, this 55 to 75 age group among all these countries. When natural plant food intake is high enough, cancers and heart disease deaths almost disappeared. Now, this slide would not look anything like this if I had used 2000 or 2010 statistics. It's based on 1970 data that was collected in the 1960s. That's about 50 years ago. Back then, it was possible to find countries eating high amounts of natural plant foods. But even one decade later, America's commercial food interests were spreading everywhere, and the diets of people almost the entire world over were changing for the worse. These diseases of nutritional origin were increasing everywhere. Plus, the animal products we eat today are not the same as the wild animals eaten in yesteryear. Today's factory-farmed animals are sickly, overfed, fattened animals, fed junk food, given growth hormone and antibiotics. That's right, they're fed junk food, like candy, pretzels, and chips, that are damaged during manufacturing and broken or deemed not fit for humans. Actually, all that junk food isn't fit for humans. It's actually poisonous and cancer-causing. But nevertheless, we feed this stuff to animals. So now we're eating junk food and junk food animals too. My health equation is H equals N divided by C. This equation means your long-term health and how disease-resistant you are is proportional to the micronutrient density of your diet. Health is nutrients divided by calories. Nutritional science is not just interesting, it's the most important subject we need to educate ourselves about because our health is just that important. Always keep this in your mind. You eat for health by eating more foods that give you a high micronutrient bang per caloric buck. Now this means not only just the high amount of these micronutrients, but the breadth, the broad variety of micronutrients. We're talking here about we extend human lifespan by achieving comprehensive micronutrient adequacy. And that means every peg is filled of every micronutrient we need. And you know what the most important micronutrient that you might need to extend your life? The important micronutrient you need to take to make sure you live longer? The most important one is the one you're missing. So we got to make sure you get all of them. That's the whole point here. Okay, so what I've done here is we've looked at studies, and we see that when people eat less, they live longer. And when animals are fed less food, their telomeres, that's a part of the cell that can shorten or lengthen or stay long, tells you how fast you're aging and how long you're going to live. And we find that animals that eat less calories, their telomeres stay longer. They don't shrink as they age. So we're slowing the aging process. When we eat less calories, we're reducing free radical activity. It suppresses genetic defects and genetic alterations. It inhibits the production of cross-linking agents and toxins in the cells. So the cell can keep itself clean, it can slow the aging process, and you can live longer and keep your youthful vigor when you consume less calories. But the secret to consuming less calories is not just willy-nilly trying to eat less food, it's getting back to eating foods rich in micronutrients. Because when you eat foods that are rich in micronutrients, then it naturally suppresses the appetite, where you're not going to want to eat as much. So this is not about artificially trying to starve yourself, it's trying to eat more foods that have a high micronutrient per calorie density. The more high micronutrient foods you eat, the less low micronutrient foods you desire. So this program is predominantly about eating more high micronutrient foods. Now, wouldn't you like to get to your ideal weight without dieting?
Yes.
Wouldn't you like not to have to worry about your weight for the rest of your life?
Yes.
And wipe out the risk of serious disease in the process?
Yes.
Of course you do. We all need this information. It will benefit you, and it will benefit your loved ones. So I've scored most foods with my Andy scoring system, which gives you a great tool to easily identify the most nutrient-rich foods. Now, ANDI, A-N-D-I, stands for Aggregate Nutrient Density Index. What I did was add up almost all the measurable micronutrients in an equal caloric portion, so an accurate comparison can be made of one food to another. Note how greens, berries, tomatoes, onions, mushrooms, seeds, and even some fruits score pretty high in micronutrients. You see, the immunity solution is simple. We flipped the American diet from 10% high nutrient foods and 90% low nutrient foods to 90% high nutrient foods and 10% low nutrient foods. And we do that flip, we make it taste great. you try to eat more foods high in micronutrients and phytochemicals, and you automatically desire less calories, you automatically lose the addictive drive to overeat, and you lose weight and you keep it off forever. We eat a diet that tastes better, that feels better, and that protects us from dangerous infections, autoimmune illnesses, heart attacks, strokes, dementia, and cancer. Look, if you're still living, and I assume you are if you're watching the show, then it's not too late to prolong your life. It's not too late to have a better quality life. So many people have thrown in the towel. They've accepted the negative outcomes predicted by their doctors. This is not for somebody else. This is for you. Whether you're sick or well at this time, don't wait until some serious disease develops. Protect yourself now. You think about saving for financial needs later in life, but what good is that if you're not well enough or even alive to enjoy it? Your good health is your greatest wealth. The savings you need to put into your health bank account are those protective nutrients that continue to work in your body every day to protect you against disease. The theme of this program is that disease is unnatural. Health is the natural state, which can only be realized with superior nutrition. I've had so many hundreds of people who've contacted me after watching my last public television program, 3 Steps to Incredible Health. Though last year's show was focused more on weight loss, not on the immune system, it changed the lives of thousands of seriously ill people. Don't you want great health and everything life has to offer? Becoming knowledgeable about superior nutrition is a blessing that can give us a better, longer, and more pleasurable life. Don't forget I said more pleasurable, because you can't enjoy life when you're sick. And food even tastes best when you have a healthy appetite and a healthy hunger. And your taste improves. You enjoy eating more when you eat healthfully. What I'm telling you here is that your immune system is the mastermind behind your body's ability to resist disease. You don't just develop serious diseases or get cancer overnight, or even in a few years. It doesn't happen from something you did 10 years ago. It's a slow process of gradually increasing cellular damage that takes many decades of immune system weakness. What happens is that the body is unable to repair itself and remove toxins. And these toxins create DNA defects little by little. The more changes to the DNA that occur, the closer the cell gets to multiplying uncontrollably, which is cancer. The damage to the DNA is mostly caused by toxins such as free radicals and advanced glycation end products. These circulate in the cell and over time damage the cell's nucleus. Scientists call this damage DNA methylation and demethylation defects. What we found out about this DNA damage that leads to cancer is that these DNA modifications, when they happen early in life, also lead to autoimmune disease like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. So essentially what I'm saying is that most of the serious diseases that afflict us with tremendous suffering have the same basic cause. Even in populations that smoke cigarettes very heavily, DNA methylation damage can be measured, and we find that we see a high amount of damage from smoking when green vegetable consumption is low, and limited DNA methylation damage from smoking when green vegetable consumption is high. We even observe DNA methylation defects resolve when smokers are placed on a diet high in vegetables. So I'm explaining here that even the cancers that are obviously not food-related, like lung cancer and skin cancer, are still partially food-related. Sure, the smoking and the excessive sun exposure played an important role, but the risks and the damage were made so much worse by a poor diet. What I'm explaining is that when you have an autoimmune disease, you also likely have some DNA damage that puts you at higher risk of cancer too. And all these diseases have a common etiology. It's a matter of degree in which places on the DNA are damaged. So the next step is to focus on the specific foods that can enable your DNA to repair itself and fix these defects. So when you do the right thing and avoid most of the wrong things, your body can repair the methylation defects, repair the broken crosslinks, remove the toxins from the cells, restore hormonal levels to normal, and can reverse the process of cumulative damage. Stay right there when we take a break, because when we come back, let me show you those superfoods that drive your miraculous immune system to maximum function. So thank you, and we'll be right back.
We're back with Dr. Fuhrman's Immunity Solution.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Immunity Solution. And this is part 3, the fun part of the show, where we get to talk about food, as if I wasn't talking about it already, right? Now I want you to learn 2 important new words, words that I made up: nutritarian and G-bombs. I want you to eat a nutritarian diet. That's a diet that strives for nutritional excellence. A person who recognizes their future health is directly linked to the micronutrient quality of their food choices is a nutritarian. And my goal is to have you enjoy life to the fullest as a practicing nutritarian. I insist it'll make your life more enjoyable, not just disease-resistant. Now keep in mind, a vegetarian or vegan could also be a nutritarian if the diet is designed healthfully. And a person who eats some animal products could also be a nutritarian if their diet is designed healthfully. A nutritarian learns about the most powerful healing foods and consumes them regularly. The second word I want you to learn is G-bombs. G-bombs, G-B-O-M-B-S. It's an acronym that helps you remember the superfoods you need to eat regularly to drive the immunity solution. Greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. These are the foods richest in anti-cancer phytochemicals that we don't get enough of in the SAD, the Standard American Diet. Foods that contain nutrients essential to the immunity solution. So let's talk about green vegetables first. Green vegetables are foundational foods that should be eaten in large amounts. The consumption of raw greens has been proven to reduce cancer rates in more than 200 separate scientific studies. In each of our cells is a DNA sequence called the antioxidant response element. It's like the protective force field around the ship in Star Trek. Your cells have this anti-cancer force field, and it's fueled by green vegetables. And the greens that have the most powerful fuel for the cell's protective function are cruciferous vegetables. Examples of cruciferous vegetables are bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, collards, and kale. For example, in a recent medical study, men who ate 28 servings of vegetables a week decreased their incidence of prostate cancer by 33%. However, if they ate just 3 servings of cruciferous vegetables a week, they decreased the occurrence of prostate cancer by 41%. That's 3 servings of cruciferous more powerful than 28 servings of regular vegetables. The more cruciferous vegetables consumed, the lower the rate of cancer. This is particularly true of breast cancer. A recent study showed that the daily intake of cruciferous vegetables decreased breast cancer deaths by 62% compared to women who did not eat cruciferous vegetables. And this radical decrease in deaths from breast cancer is even observed in women who already have a diagnosis of breast cancer. Amazing, isn't it? Don't you think every person should learn about this and know this? A group of powerful compounds from cruciferous vegetables that offers this protection is called isothiocyanates, or ITCs. There are over 120 different types of ITCs, and they have differing effects on the cell to remove carcinogens and repair defects that could lead to cancer. What is fascinating is that these ITCs are not in the vegetable yet before you eat it. But as you chew it, the cell wall of the vegetable releases an enzyme called myrosinase that forms the ITCs in your mouth before you even swallow. If you chop or blend the veggies well, it will have the same effect to form these compounds. So the better these vegetables are chewed, or better they're chopped or blended, more beneficial ITCs are released into the body. The next superfood I want you to eat is beans. Scientists discovered a new potent anti-cancer compound in this fun-to-eat food. And the name of this compound is so long, actually 26 letters long, and it's so hard to pronounce, so it must be important. It's inositol pentachous phosphate. That's IP5. This compound was found to inhibit a key enzyme involved in tumor growth. That's right, when you eat beans regularly, they prevent tumors from forming in the body. Plus, they're rich in anti-cancer polyphenols. Accordingly, a recent study showed that men who ate beans or legumes regularly had a 40% lower risk of prostate cancer, and numerous studies show beans dramatically cut colon cancer risk too. A 6-year study tracking over 32,000 individuals, found that those who ate beans, peas, or lentils only twice a week decreased their risk of colon cancer by 50%. Wow. If they cut their chance of colon cancer in half by eating beans twice a week, imagine the benefits of eating beans daily. You may not have any friends left, but at least you won't get cancer. Seriously, though, if you do eat beans on a regular basis, your body builds up the bacteria needed to digest them, and you don't get the indigestion and gas. The other fascinating thing about beans is that they're very high in fiber and resistant starch. Resistant starch is resistant to being digested, and that means that lots of the carbohydrate calories in beans do not get absorbed by the body. They just pass through us, making beans a very weight loss favorable food. That's right, about half the carb calories in beans do not get absorbed. So beans make you feel full, they stabilize your blood sugar, they protect you against cancer, and they help you lose weight. Onions are next. Who would have imagined that onions could be so protective against cancer? A multi-country European study tracked the consumption of food and cancer and found the one most protective variable for prostate cancer was onions. And the strongest causative factor was animal product consumption, specifically meat and dairy. Now, if we look at all the studies on prostate cancer, we find that tomatoes get all the publicity because there are about 100 studies showing a protective effect of tomatoes on prostate cancer. Now, even though there may not be as many studies done on onions and cancer, but if you look at the strength of the effect in those studies, we find that onions have even a stronger, more protective effect than tomatoes do. Pooling numerous studies from 37 different countries on onions and cancer, we find between 50 and 88% reduction in the incidence of various cancers. And similar to green vegetables, to green cruciferous vegetables, when you cut the onion, it causes a chemical reaction to occur. And the same reaction that creates the acid that makes your eyes burn is a reaction that forms these organosulfide compounds with their powerful anti-cancer effects. So the point to remember here is that the enzyme is heat sensitive. So to increase the cancer-fighting power of onions in your diet, you want to eat some raw onion and chew them very well. If you cook the onion and then cut it up or blended it, then it won't give off that gas that makes your eyes tear. So you won't produce those anti-cancer compounds. But if you chop it or blend it first when it's raw, you can still cook the onion after and maintain most of the benefits because the organosulfide compounds are not destroyed by cooking. You just have to make sure you chop it up really fine before you cook it so those organosulfide compounds are formed before cooking. You follow that?
Yes. Yes.
All right, now guess, who is the king of the cancer-fighting all-stars? Nope, not LeBron James. It's mushrooms. Mushrooms have 3 important and unique cancer defenses. First, they contain antigen-binding lectins. That means they stick to the surfaces of abnormal cells so the body can recognize and attack those cells for removal before they become cancerous. Fascinating, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Our immune system has the ability to fully recognize abnormal cells and remove them, but only when it becomes fully activated when you eat mushrooms. The second important cancer-fighting feature of mushrooms is that they're strong angiogenesis inhibitors. That means these compounds inhibit new blood vessel growth. See, in order for a tumor to grow, in order for cells to become cancerous and spread, they have to send out signals that create new blood vessels to grow and feed them with nutrients and oxygen. And mushrooms say, no way. They inhibit the enzymes released by abnormal cells that promote blood vessel growth, thereby restricting the oxygen and nutrients from getting to those cells. So these substances derived from mushrooms starve off tumors and cancers. And the fat on your body is also like a tumor. It secretes hormones that stimulates growth of blood vessels also. The fat can't grow without a delivery system of highways that bring it more calories, and mushrooms stop that delivery. They won't let fat grow easily on your body either. The third important protective feature of mushrooms is they contain aromatase inhibitors. These compounds prevent the body from making excess estrogen, and they protect the breast tissue from being stimulated from circulating estrogen. Now, because of this, mushrooms are powerfully protective against breast cancer. It's as if mushrooms are a necessary arm of your immune system. Look, your car needs gas and oil, and your immune system needs greens, onions, and mushrooms, or it simply is not going to function normally. So let's move on to berries. I love that berries taste great. They're certainly a great diet and weight loss food, as they're also so low in calories, they even have a low glycemic load for a diabetic. But did you know that berries can slow aging of the brain and prevent dementia? Did you know berries have powerful anti-cancer benefits? Ellagic acid and anthocyanins are prominent phytochemicals in berries that inhibit the growth of abnormal cells and cancer cells. One recent study gave strawberry concentrates to patients with esophageal cancer and found that the cancers reversed or stopped progressing. It's amazing. The anti-cancer potential here is even surprising the researchers involved in these studies, who've reported to me that this is a hotbed of recent excitement. What's observed is that we can almost wipe out cancers in animals genetically prone to get their cancers when a mixture of these particular superfoods are put together and fed to these animals. So last in your G-bombs list, right, G-B-O-M-B-S, last in your list is seeds. Don't forget those seeds every day. Numerous studies on seeds and lignins derived from seeds is simply spectacular, and it's important you know about it. I'll just give you the results of two important studies. You'll get the point. A double-blinded, placebo-controlled trial with flax seeds was done where they gave women who had breast cancer a flaxseed-containing muffin each day. And of course, half the women in the study got a muffin that looked just like that, but didn't have the flax seeds. And 6 weeks later, the breast cancer tumors were biopsied and analyzed, and they found significant cancer cell death and regression of cancer proliferation, which means the growth of the cancer, in the group that had the flax. Another study on the lignins from seeds studied women who had breast cancer, and they tracked the amount of lignins consumed over a 10-year period. You see, lignins are rich in flax seeds, chia seeds, some other seeds. The women who ate the most lignins, which was less than 1 milligram a day, had a 71% decrease in breast cancer mortality over that 10-year period. Now, 1 teaspoon of flax or chia seeds have about 7 milligrams of lignins. And in this study, less than 1 milligram decreased breast cancer deaths by over 70%. That's truly amazing. So here's my nutritarian prescription for you. Number 1, eat at least a half a cup of beans every day. Do you eat some beans every day? You should. I want you to. Check that off. It's important. Eat at least 3 fresh fruits a day. Do you eat at least a cup of berries and 2 other fruits a day? Are you having 3 fresh fruits a day? You got to check that off. It's one thing you have to do. It's part of the formula here. Eat at least 1 ounce of raw nuts and seeds a day. And out of that 1 ounce of raw nuts and seeds, I want half an ounce I want at least a tablespoon of chia seeds or sesame seeds or flax seeds or hemp seeds. I want at least a tablespoon of those seeds to get the lignins you need. I want some of those nuts and seeds to be some walnuts if possible for the omega-3 fatty acids. Have all the seeds and nuts you want, have the types you want, but have some of the hemp, chia, flax, or some walnuts for those omega-3 fatty acids, and then have some other nuts and seeds, pistachio nuts, pecans, whatever you want. And then I'm going to give you incredibly great recipe ideas for this, too. Have at least 1 large salad every day. 1 big salad. I want a sign on your refrigerator that says the salad is the main dish. Take out a marker, make a nice sign, and at least at one of the meal, make the salads the main dish. A big salad. Chop up the lettuce and the cabbage and the tomatoes and the red onion. Put a delicious nut-based dressing on it. Make a delicious tasting salad. Kiwis or strawberries or cherry tomatoes or sun-dried tomatoes in there. Make a roasted garlic dressing. One of my favorite dressings has roasted garlic, almonds, whipped up with a little tomato sauce and a little fig vinegar or balsamic vinegar. Whipped up, tastes fantastic on a salad. Okay, so have at least 1 nice salad every day, and then half a cup of beans, you could dump it right on top of the salad if you want. Have at least 1 double-sized portion, maybe at night. Maybe you're having soup and a salad with lunch and a big serving of greens and a fruit bowl for dinner, or a small salad for dinner. But have a serving, maybe with mushrooms, of some green vegetable, like asparagus, like broccoli, cabbage, artichokes, string beans, broccoli. Have a nice serving of cooked greens every day. And don't forget, check off on your list, have some mushrooms or onions every day. Your goal is to have a half a cup of onions a day, and mushrooms, you just need a little bit, just a small amount every day. Just have some every day on a regular basis. They're tremendously protective. So what happens when you do this? Let's look at some people who tried it. Consider Tom Deck from Rochester, New York. Tom was an overweight food addict, and most of his life he weighed 365 pounds. He had high blood pressure and was diabetic for over 40 years. And as a result of the severe, out-of-control diabetes, he had a toe amputated. He developed then severe nausea and exhaustion and was found to have acute renal failure. He was told he was close to having to put on dialysis. Then he was in bed watching my show. Tom said it was an answer to his prayers and those of his family and his friends who thought he wasn't going to make it. Tom lost 56 pounds in the first 5 months and amazingly never felt deprived. And he says he enjoyed eating more than any time in his life. And he didn't have to count calories and measure food. Remember, he'd been a food addict his whole life, and he never could stick to any diet before. Tom was taking 12 prescription medications daily and injecting himself with insulin 4 times each day. Soon as type 2 diabetes was gone. So Tom said, my kidney doctor was practically jumping up and down, during my last visit. I was a former food addict, and if I can succeed and enjoy Dr. Fuhrman's program with all my problems, anybody can. I hope this letter can give help and hope to the millions of people who are searching for an answer. To wrap it up, all my many health problems have been a thing of the past, and within a month after starting, I have boundless energy, I weigh less than half what I used to weigh, and my doctors are all saying what has happened is almost a miracle. It's not a miracle. It just demonstrates the power of modern nutritional science. And it's simply critical that every one of you utilize this information to protect your life. How many of you want this protection? All of you, right? You all do. So the last person I want to mention is Augie. Augie's 82 years old. He's an 82-year-old nutritarian who's actually still running marathons, even now. He ran the Boston Marathon 3 times, and a few months ago, he ran his first 50K race. 50K, that's 31-mile race. He ran over 30 miles in 83-degree Florida heat and humidity. Imagine that? He usually wins these events because he's the only entry in the 80-plus category. And Augie's been a Dr. Fuhrman nutritarian for years, and he lost about 25 pounds when he first started. And he said he read one of my books about 10 times and decided when he retired to make health and fitness his retirement hobby. He now runs about 4 to 8 miles, 4 days a week. And Augie said, I don't want the health problems of my standard American diet friends. Look, I'm not saying you need to exercise like Augie, but I am demonstrating how active and youthful you can be in your later years. It's a choice you can make right now. Do you want your life to be complicated by medical difficulties? Or would you rather be fit, healthy, and enjoy your life to your fullest? You can enjoy your children and grandchildren. You can pursue your own interests of choice and not let the sickness and frailty that afflicts, that ruins the life of other Americans happen to you. Your health is your greatest wealth, and you can make the right choice to earn this valuable gift of superior health. I hope you make the right choice. Whether you're 8 years old and desire fewer infections and want to get rid of your asthma for good, or 80 years old and just want to travel the world in good health, the Immunity Solution can give you that potential to live out your life's dreams in good health. I've developed delicious and creative ways of making the healthiest food in the world taste great. Plus, your taste buds prefer foods that it gets used to. You can develop a preference for healthy food just as you developed it for the unhealthy stuff. Pursue this journey into healthy eating that can be fun, pleasurable, and open up your life to an entire adventure of new possibilities. The Immunity Solution can put you in control of your health destiny. I'm wishing you a long and pleasurable life. It can be yours. Thank you.
Happy little trees.
There are so many reasons to love KLRU. Show your support by donating today.
Support for KLRU comes from the Hoops House Bed and Breakfast, located along Aransas Bay in Rockport, Texas. Featuring 8 guest rooms and distinctive regional cuisine, the Hoops House Bed and Breakfast, modern luxury with old world charm.
Support for KLRU comes from Floor King Carpet One, a global co-op of locally owned companies, global resources, hometown care with 3 locations. North on Research Boulevard, south in the Brody Oak Shopping Center, and also in Georgetown.
Explore new worlds and new ideas through programs like this, made available for everyone through contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Discover the breakthrough science of happiness with positive psychology expert Sean Acor, who has researched and taught at Harvard University and around the world.
Scientifically, happiness for you is a choice. It's not just based upon the external world. 90% of your long-term happiness is based upon how you process the world.
Improve